Hello everyone, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back, and today we're going to be giving our 10th hurricane season forecast and discussion for the hurricane season of 2021. Before we get started, however, be sure to like and subscribe with those notifications on because it really does help my channel grow and helps this video reach more people that probably do need to see it. So without further ado, we are going to get into our 10th hurricane season forecast and discussion for the 2021 hurricane season. All right, so let's get into it here. Of course, our 2021 hurricane season tracks hasn't really changed too much, has it? Last one we had was Elsa, earliest fifth named storm on record, and for the rest of July we were in a bit of a lull, but we are starting to make a big comeback. Of course, the two systems that we have out there right now. But we're just going to be focusing on the season and what it holds for the future. Of course, I will be talking separately on the other two systems that are out there in the tropics. But for this video, we're just going to be talking about the season and the future of the hurricane season. So looking at August, of course, -0.3, -0.6 in October for our Niño 3-4 region, and then by December, -0.7. I really only put December there so you can see the relation between the two. That way you can, estimate what November could possibly be. But December, just know that December is not part of hurricane season, although we have seen activity in December before, but it's not part of hurricane season. But of course, August and October, we could see a drop to La Niña during that time. All right, and looking at the latest from July 31st, we have our Niño 3-4 estimates from the Bureau of Meteorology, like the ensemble models. And you can see that maybe not for September, but for October and November, the last 2 months of hurricane season. Between the two, October is more active. September is more active than October. But there is a drop to La Niña, and then maybe even back up to a neutral just in time for winter, which would be great because over here in the east, I miss a snowy winter. So a neutral would be great. But according to this, a drop to La Niña for October, November, December, then maybe back up by the time January rolls around. But if we do drop, the quicker we drop to La Niña, the more active the hurricane season is. And don't get me wrong, even if we stay in a neutral the whole time, the hurricane season would still be pretty active. August, climatologically, is pretty active. And honestly, I've seen this as a trend where we just see a lull, whether it's June or July. It usually happens during that time. And probably the reason for that is probably because we got pretty close. I wouldn't say that close, but we got close to an El Nino during June and July. And then we started coming back down again. So we're on our way down towards La Niña. So the southern oscillation, of course, above 8 units is La Niña usually, or at least La Niña conditions. And below -8 is an El Nino or El Nino conditions. And our latest 30-day value was 14. So we are definitely above that 8. And we have been. Last hurricane season video, number 9, of course, I showed you this, and it pretty much looked the same. We are in a La Niña watch. This statement hasn't been updated too much. So according to this, La Niña could be favored through August, October, September, November, and maybe even lasting through the winter. But of course, the latest update showed maybe a jump back to neutral, but that's beside the point. Neutral is favored through the fall, and then maybe, of course, in that October-November season, September through November, we could see a jump back to La Niña. Just so you know, last video I did when I showed this map, the Niño 3-4 was -0.1 degrees Celsius. It's now -0.4, so it's definitely gone down for sure. You can see that right here. We have had a drop recently. But look at the Niño 1-2 region. That's not -0.8. That's +0.8. So there's almost a little El Nino going on in the Niño 1-2 region, but that doesn't. Niño 3-4 is the one we focus on. It's a mixture of pretty much 3 and 4. That's what Niño 3-4 means. So that's the one we focus on when we determine our El Nino, La Niña, or neutral phases. And of course, we were in a La Niña through May. Of course, once the next couple months pass by, we'll see June and July get filled in again, but it takes a while for them to get that data. This has not, I don't think since the last video, this particular map has been updated, but it pretty much shows the same thing here. October and November and December, there's a highest chance for La Niña, and then it goes back down for the winter. So that's pretty much a trend we've been seeing here. So October, November looks like the best time to have a La Niña. And don't forget, November can be pretty active too. I think personally though that November if November does get active, I think there would be a lot of named storms and not as many hurricanes or major hurricanes. Just because, November, typically things do start to go, downhill for development, right? Sort of like May. But still, that's not to say nothing can happen in November. A hurricane or major hurricane could still happen because it's still hurricane season. But October, if La Nina were to form by late September or October, that would be pretty bad. This has been updated though, however. These are the models. And if you look at this from the map I showed you in the last video, you can see the models are trending a lot more, further down. And that means cooler sea surface temperature anomalies in the Niño 3-4 region, therefore La Nina. And you can pretty much see that here all the way through pretty much through December, and then we start to see it go back up for January, February, March, and maybe even April. So as for right now, it looks like we could hit a La Nina by October, November, December, maybe back to a neutral by January, February, March. That's how it looks right now. So what does that mean for the hurricane season? We're going to find out later in the video. Obviously, a more active season than we already may have now. This was also updated, the CFS V2 forecast. So you can see they even have pretty much on the verge of a La Nina by September, but definitely in it by October, November, December in the thick of it, and then coming back up for January, February, and March. And you can see on the right side of your screen, what does that mean in terms of maps, right? Here's October, all right, November, December, we see the blue. January, it's still there, then February, March, it starts to wither away. So that's, the trend a lot of the models have been seeing lately. August, September, October, and November, you can see the trend pretty much towards the left. That means as we keep going forward over the next few months, we're going to get closer, if not hitting a La Nina. All right. And just the sea surface temperatures alone have been absolutely insane. If you look at my last video, you'll see, I'll even leave it up in the cards so you can just compare the maps from last video to this video. And you can see there was mainly a lot of yellow in the Gulf of Mexico, and I still gave you a snapshot of the 88-degree reading that I found in the northern Gulf, even though it was slightly above average. Now look how much more orange is built in, if you want to call that orange. That means 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above average. Look out in the tropical Atlantic, where we have our activity right now. All right, it's looking above average there as well. And look at our La Nina. It just looks like it's come back, right? We saw the brief warming up, and we still have a couple areas of yellow, but more blue has built in as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. Even the Eastern Pacific, but Hawaii has been protected because of this area of deep blue, which are two current systems. I almost want to call the other one Jemima. It's what it sounds like. That one and Hilda. Jemima is easier for me to say. That probably is dropping off into a depression now, and then tropical depression Hilda. Both are heading in the direction. We'll see if either can make it. But anyway, look at the northern Atlantic as well. Also, the subtropical Atlantic, very far above average. There's a closer look at the Caribbean. Another basin that's also made a good comeback, right? The Caribbean was filled with a lot of grays in the last video, right? A lot of areas of average water. Now, only the real cool spot is by the tip of South America. Other than that, the Caribbean has made a pretty impressive impact, east and west. So, good for you, Caribbean. Now, looking at, here's another reading. Now, if you go on windy.com, this pretty much whole area is about 85, 86, 87. But I did find one reading, if you look just south of the northern shores of Cuba, just south of Havana, it is 89. And that's not land temperature either. I mean, the land temperature is also 89. But the sea surface temperature is actually 89 degrees. All right, as you can see by the reading right here. So that's pretty much bathwater at that point. Sea surface temperature trends, all right, you can see here we have pretty much trended up in the Gulf of Mexico, but I think the reason it hasn't trended up in the past week is because it's already at its peak warmth. Northern coast has cooled down a little bit because of a lot of thunderstorms, but the Eastern Caribbean around the islands has warmed up a lot, like almost 1 to 1.5 degrees, which is not good news. Another thing that's withered away, all right, is the dry air. If you look at my last video, pretty much these 3 boxes right here were all filled with dry air. They're since withered away. And you can see now our tropical waves are sitting in a little bit of dry air, if nothing at all. And all of this that you see here is all moving this way, if not dissipating at the same time. So dry air is also going down. So you see why we're starting to build an active hurricane season. Western Caribbean and the Gulf, pretty much no dry air there for the moment. And we don't need any more smoke from Africa because you already know pretty much the entire of the United States is getting smoke from the fires in the West. It's being carried by that jet stream. A good amount of the United States has seen it. I've even seen it, and it does make for some beautiful sunsets, I will admit. But of course, it's not a good thing that the fires are burning out there. Now, here is some MJO forecasts, right? So we see kind of like this same maps I show you, like right here. It's the same kind of map. Green means more convection, and the orangish brownish colors mean less. And this goes from, oops, sorry about that. This goes from about August 5th, which is today, all the way through September 14th. So pretty much all over a month. And you can see what we're in right now is a bit of a green, right? We see more convective activity, and that'll be more prevalent to the 15th through the 20th and then 25th. So all the way through the end of the month, we're going to see the Africa be in the green, meaning that there's more convection over Africa. And even on the left, you can see Central Africa, what's going on there. Because a lot of convective activity starts in Western and even Central Africa as well. So keep an eye on that. But then notice, like everything, it moves in a phase. That's why pretty much almost every hurricane season has a lull for this reason. At some point. Whether it's a few days lull or it's a lull for a month, pretty much every hurricane season pretty much has it because all these phases have to move through it. Like, see this green over Northern Africa? That's got to move in this direction. So does this green. So everything is moving in a left to right motion. So maybe by September, we could see maybe another lull again. It's possible, depending on how fast it moves. These phases, these patterns move all different speeds. But right now, as it looks like according to this, all the way through the beginning of mid-September at least, looking like a more active in terms of convective activity. Now, what do the other models think? This is the GEFS model and what they think. And closer to home looks a lot more convectively active, but maybe not so much over Africa. But yet still, we're still seeing convective activity over Africa, so that definitely does say something. And this is going from now to the 13th, so pretty much about a week out, from the 6th to the 13th. How about the 9th to the 16th? What changes? Well, there's still a lot of green in the Caribbean and the East Coast, so more convection in that area. It's with the orange and red is withering down in Africa, but still there. But let's look at the CFS model. Right, here's the 6th to the 13th, and they have both Africa and closer to home in those convection filled areas, more convection in the green. I do agree with that because we're seeing a ramp up right now, so it would make sense to put green on the map. Now look at the 13th to the 20th, right over Africa, right where we see our activity develop. Remember, just because the middle of the Atlantic is white and maybe even a little bit of red, doesn't mean tropical cyclones can't move through there. It just means they probably won't form there. This is talking about tropical cyclones forming, not where they're going to track. So that's why you have to look to areas where cyclones can form. At this time of year, it's Africa, all right, Western and Central. So as long as there's green over Africa, those systems are still going to be moving in that direction, regardless if there's less convection. But still, looking at this, 13th to the 20th, it's still there. But then notice what happens. The 27th to the 3rd, maybe it comes down a little bit. Little bit of red. It's not deep coloring, which means convective activity, if this were to hold true, probably won't stop altogether. 27th to the 3rd. But notice, closer to home, we're still average, meaning convective activity can still form, just not so fast. 10th to the 17th of September, pretty much the same thing. So moving on to the cyclonic heat, right? Sea surface temperatures, you saw were pretty warm, especially closer to home. Out off the coast of Africa, they're starting to warm up a little bit. But what matters even more is the heat, the oceanic heat below the surface. And across the Caribbean and across the Western and Central Gulf, we have a lot of it right now. It's slowly starting to build in to the MDR region, and once it does, I think tropical waves will have a more easier time developing. Wind shear. Wind shear has been pretty low across the Gulf, and the Northern and Eastern Caribbean has been down a little bit, although South and Western Caribbean, wind shear is a little high right now. But look at the MDR region. The Cabo Verde Islands are right over here, right? So our tropical waves are in this region pretty much. Not so much shear. There's a little bit, and that's mainly further south here, right? So not that much wind shear. It's pretty low to medium, so that's definitely saying something. Like, look at the wind shear in this zone right here. It's dropped about 10 knots in the past 24 hours. So it's kind of left a gap here for tropical systems to develop. All right, so notice Eastern Caribbean, not so bad. Gulf of Mexico, pretty much low shear there as well. So shear in the Caribbean overall has been below average. So pretty much so far this month, I would go so far as to say that. All right, so wind shear is pretty low for August, and you can even see during July it was pretty low as well. We haven't been above that black line so much, which is the quote-unquote average line. And the tropical Atlantic, we are below right now, but we've been hovering around the line a little bit recently. But look how far the tropical Atlantic was below average on shear, pretty much from like probably the 30th or 31st of July back to the middle end of June. So for a while there, it was pretty far below average. It usually doesn't stay below the black line for so long. Usually like this, it goes up and down, up and down. Not necessarily. So that's a dangerous trend, because if we see something like that again, shear could go lower, more storms could develop. So again, if you're not aware, we have raised the average, of course, as we will do every 10 years, most likely. 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 hurricanes is the new average. And looking at the updated forecast, we have seen some updates. Colorado State University, they pretty much refined their named storms to where it was before. I think it was originally 18 named storms, 8 hurricanes, and 4 majors. They brought it up to 20. They brought it back down to 18. Now, all these numbers do include storms we've had already. I just want to keep that. I don't want you to get alarmed. This is not additional. So for the named storm category, I mean all except for the average, but for the rest of these sections, you can slice five points off. We'll call them points. For hurricanes, you can take off 1, and major hurricanes stay the same because we haven't had any yet. We've only had 1 hurricane, that's Elsa. So if you want to talk about additional, for me, it would be 11 to 16 named storms, 7 to 9 hurricanes, and 2 to 4 majors. For NOAA, it would be 10 to 16 named storms, 6 to 9 hurricanes, and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. For Colorado State University, it'd be 13 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 4 majors, and for the Weather Channel, it would be 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 4 majors. So and that's additional. Of course, what you're seeing here is the season total. So NOAA definitely went up, because I think for a while they were 13 to 20, which is still above average, but 15 to 21 is definitely in that above average category. So thank you guys for watching today's video. And again, I will leave my my past hurricane season video number 9 up in the video cards, just so if you want to compare maps between the 2 videos. Of course, just be sure you understand that this one is the latest update. But thank you guys for watching today's video. I am the Weather Dude signing off. Till next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video.